Hello and welcome to Dungeon Studios. Today we have a customer's pad that's come in for repair. This pad's about 3 years old. We're going to take a look and see what we find. Okay guys, so right off the bat we have two issues. One of the ground wires is broken off, and the signal wire that goes up to the top of the pad was like barely hanging on. When I flipped the pad over, it broke off. So this is just like resoldering is what we need to do. This one is an older model, and he took and replaced the small wires like these with big gigantic wires. Now the big wires are cool, but they're too big. I'm going to be replacing them with standard size wires and a harness. These ones are already screwed down, or I mean they're screw down types, so they'll get replaced instead of the soldering ones, because this is an earlier pad when we soldered everything and the solder joints have been known for breaking, so we'll replace them with screw down ones. Okay, for starters, we're going to repair this broken ground wire. What we're going to need for that is some new solder, a piece of metal for a hold down stick. You can use wood too. Wood will probably be better because it won't dry any heat away. We have our soldering iron. This is a high wattage soldering iron, but anything that's like 75 watts or more should probably be more than sufficient. I'm going to start off by positioning the wire and then holding the soldering iron down to it. It's going to start melting the solder. I'm going to add some new solder. Solder has rosin in it. Well, this solder has rosin in it, and it will help to clean up the contact, get some good wetted action. It's taking all the heat to get this going. These are very heavy wires. Once it is all flowed, once the solder has flowed to all the crevices, I'll hold it down with my pry tool and then remove the soldering iron. You don't want to just lift the soldering iron up, because then it will just pull apart. And this cools off really quickly. As you see, it is already adhered. Put the iron back in its holder so we don't burn ourselves. We'll take a closer look. I could use some more solder, but the connection has been redone. So that'd be one way you can actually take and resolder the wires. This one I'll probably take and update it with newer springs and newer harnesses. But I just wanted to show you guys how to resolder the wires. Here's another problem that you find. This one's not even attached anymore. You can see where the signal wire that goes up to the pad had got right in the path of the spring and then chopped up. You can see a chunk there. So the spring pushes up against the top. You can see the witness mark from the spring. The wire got out of its way and in the path of the spring and got chopped. There's the other end that's supposed to be attached up to there. So we're going to probably replace that wire. Looks like it might have been replaced once before, so we'll put a bigger wire in there. Okay, so I replaced that wire. The yellow wire is now replaced with a blue wire. I put a yellow heat shrink on the end to denote that, yeah, this is still the yellow wire. I just did not have any more yellow to run for it. This is a thicker wire, and I also made it longer. It looked like it might have broken a few times before. That's why it was so short. And that could also be why it ended up in the spring. Now you can see I got the wire laid out, so that lays out around the spring, and I put some extra tape to hold it down. I'll probably put a actual staple down there to hold it in place. And then even on the screw down side, I see how I have the screw terminal pointing towards the inside of the pad. That is to help angle it away from the spring. It's going over the little foam piece, but that's fine. The foam piece is just in there as a noise canceling device. It doesn't actually provide any spring. The metal springs are what provide all the spring tension. I also replaced some of the soldered wires with the screw down ones. And then I might redo those wires there. That big black wire is a little too thick, I think. But at least the signal wire is good. I'll probably give these a test to see how they work. Everything should be fine though. Now I'm gonna lay that down in there. put my hold down brackets back in place. We'll be good to go. Okay, I went ahead and replaced a lot of the old soldered on wires with the harness wires, and it looks a lot better. I got rid of that big black wire and put the thinner wire so we won't have any clearance issues. The thick wire was so big that it was actually hitting the wire on top, and you get stuff like this guy here. You can see where there was a big wire on top and it was hitting the wire on the bottom. It actually smushed the wire down. So the wire's still okay. I replaced the wire on top with a thinner one. We should be good to go. Let's see, there's the thinner one. Well, this one here would be the thinner one. Yeah, there's only so much clearance between the two pads, the top and the bottom. Well, I think that's about everything for this guy. Replace some of the springs. I'll probably give the client some of the newer springs, so if these ones do break again, he can replace them with the actual new springs, which are a lot easier to install too. Now I think we need to go test this out. Yeah. Alright, try these out. Lit up on that one. That was my fault. Give us a try. I'm out of shape though. We'll see what happens. one, I just did it with my foot up the time. Missed it. Go into the game. This is probably a mistake, but we'll try it anyway. No bar either, I'm screwed. I can just cheat on this part. Oh, okay. We know the paddle works. I'm gonna call it at that. At least I can read some of the notes. Whoa.